It's over has been the trending word since New Year Day, as Chelsea head coach Enzo Maresca has been sacked. Chelsea ownership part ways with Enzo Maresca on the 1st of January, while other fans are busy celebrating and looking forward to a beautiful game of football in 2026. Chelsea fans were left with mixed feeling, waking up to the news that Enzo Maresca has been sacked. Let's not pretend that everything is okay, because the way the Blueco ownership is actually running Chelsea Football Club, believe me, the Blueco ownership is gradually sinking Chelsea. Because since the takeover of the Blueco ownership in 2022, even when it looks like Chelsea are trying to steady the ship with any manager that comes in, before we know it, the manager will be sacked. It's painful to see this happening to a club I love. It's painful to see this happening to Chelsea. Not under the reign of Roman Abramovich, will all of this be happening. The Blueco ownership are in Chelsea strictly for business, and they don't care about the feelings of the fans and what is happening in the field of play. The big question is, what does the Blueco ownership actually want in a manager? What do they want in a manager that will actually enable them to give that manager every needed support in order to steady the ship when it comes to footballing aspect of the club? What do they want? The Blueco ownership took over Chelsea in 2022. They didn't employ the services of Thomas Tuchel. Thomas Tuchel was the last manager under the reign of Roman Abramovich. And as such, during that transitional phase, Thomas Tuchel actually went through with Chelsea Football Club after winning the Champions League in 2021. Chelsea faced a lot of challenges, the transfer ban, and lots more. But Thomas Tuchel was still there trying to steady the ship in the footballing aspect. The takeover of Chelsea was completed in 2022, and the clash of ego begins between the Chelsea ownership and Thomas Tuchel. It was reported that the Chelsea ownership wanted Cristiano Ronaldo, who was still at Manchester United at that time but facing issues and was about to leave. But Thomas Tuchel never wanted Cristiano Ronaldo. And Thomas Tuchel was shown the exit in September of 2022. The Blueco ownership employed Graham Potter. Under the reign of Graham Potter as Chelsea head coach, I don't call him manager, because Graham Potter to me was just a PhD teacher who actually has the knowledge of football but knows nothing about football in the field of play, with all due respect to Graham Potter. Graham Potter actually sank Chelsea football. We lost direction, we lost focus, we lost identity as a football club. Graham Potter did not stay long, as he was sacked in April the following year in 2023. Frank Lampard was brought in on an interim basis, the worst I've seen as a Chelsea legend. Frank Lampard actually led Chelsea through a very rough time, losing series of matches under his reign as a caretaker coach. And Chelsea still was not getting it right. Our football have actually suffered since the takeover of the Blueco ownership. At the end of the season, after Frank Lampard, Mauricio Pochettino was employed by the Blueco owner in the summer of 2023. Mauricio Pochettino, the former Tottenham Hotspur manager, had a very rough start to life at Chelsea. He struggled, and at some point, he actually picked up. And when Mauricio Pochettino picked up from 15th position, he took Chelsea, and Chelsea actually finished 6th on the EPL standing, with good football towards the end of the season. And that begins to ring bell that Mauricio Pochettino might just have his job the following season. So, Mauricio Pochettino went onto the table with the Chelsea ownership. They brought their condition. Mauricio Pochettino brought his own condition. But then, ego clashes again. Mauricio Pochettino was shown the exit. Chelsea ownership sacked Mauricio Pochettino. And in June 2024, Enzo Maresca was employed as Chelsea's new head coach after winning the championship with Leicester City that season. Personally, I never accord Enzo Maresca anything as a manager to come into Chelsea and give us what we want as Chelsea fans. I never expected to see anything from Enzo Maresca. But then it looks like Enzo Maresca, that was when our football was beginning to get that identity, that glimpse of identity we are known for. It was Enzo Maresca we beginning to see Chelsea play football, it was Enzo Maresca who began to see the philosophy of football that Chelsea Football Club is known for. But then, the Blueco ownership always want to supersede, always want to oversee everything as club owner. And I think as club owner, your sole responsibility should be to provide or make available whatever the teams need in order to drive success in the field of play. But Todd Boehly and co always want to be involved in everything, despite having a handful of sporting director, a different topic entirely. Under Todd Boehly, one thing I have come to understand is that if you are not a yes man manager, you cannot work with them. But if you are this kind of manager that says yes sir, then you will be able to work with Todd Boehly. If we take a look at the time they took over under Thomas Tuchel was a no-nonsense manager, and he never take a yes sir for everything because he knew his job and he knew why he was there as the first team manager. The same thing to Enzo Maresca, the same thing to Mauricio Pochettino. These managers they are not a yes man manager. They actually know why they were employed. They know their duties, they know their roles, they know their responsibility as the manager of the first team. And as such, they don't want to be dictated. They don't want to be dictated for when it comes to the on-field activities. But Todd Boehly and co, the Blueco ownership, doesn't see things that way. They just want to be involved in everything that happens, both on the field and off the field. And that was what led to the outburst of Enzo Maresca. Enzo Maresca have actually tried. I salute his courage as a person. I salute Enzo Maresca's courage because when he came in, he actually took the job, having agreed to certain terms and conditions of his employer, good and fine. But then, several months into the job, he began to see that he needed this autonomy of having the power in order to be able to make certain decisions and make things actually work for Chelsea Football Club and also to make the fans very happy. Enzo Maresca, in his first season, even though he started very slowly, he struggled in the winter of last season. And after several months of struggle, the team picked up. Enzo Maresca, in his first season, gave Chelsea the Conference League title, went on to lift the Club World Cup, and also finished in top 4 in the Premier League standing, qualifying Chelsea for Champions League football. Enzo Maresca did excellently well. Coming into this season, before the season kicked off, because this is where the genesis of everything actually started. Before the season kicks off, Chelsea had only 2 weeks of preseason after the Club World Cup because the players needed to rest. And coming back for the preseason, we only played two preseason matches at Stamford Bridge against AC Milan and against Bayer Leverkusen. In one of the match, Levi Colwill sustained an injury, and Enzo Maresca needed a replacement. But Chelsea owner decided, turn Enzo Maresca's request down, that he should look for solution within. And that has been the genesis of everything, in my opinion. So Enzo Maresca began the season struggling, trying to see how to get the best pairing in order to steady the ship defensive-wise. It has been from, if not Badiashile and Trev Chalobah, it will be Trev Chalobah and Wesley Fofana, it will be Badiashile. And the manager was just trying to see what will work defensive-wise. But what we have in the field, or as defenders, has been calamities. Has been calamity. Enzo Maresca struggles to see how we get things working. And at some point, it begins to look like he actually got his pairing. And that becomes Wesley Fofana and Trevor Chalobah. That works in a couple of matches. We'll begin to see that steadiness in Chelsea defense line. The midfield was always there, in as much as Moses Caicedo is present in that midfield. But then, in all of this, Enzo Maresca was not satisfied. Not until this fateful day. After Chelsea have struggled, the game against Everton in Stamford Bridge, where Chelsea defeated informed Everton then by 2-0. In the post-match conference, that was where Enzo Maresca blew up. Enzo Maresca gave the outburst that prior to that game, that period has been his worst 48 hours as Chelsea manager. And that statement, believe me, did not go down well with the ownership of Todd Boehly and Egba Bali, talking about the Chelsea owner. And Enzo Maresca, in all of this, has remained firm never gone to the press to actually clarify anything. He stood firm on his word that whatever he said, he has said them and that was finished. There is nothing to add. So he actually held on to his word. He's a man of his word. And for that, I salute him. He actually went to prove that he is not a yes-man manager. He actually knows his onion. And so, Chelsea continued the season. A couple of matches gone by. And the problem begins again when Chelsea went to St. James's Park from a very terrible first half, came back into the second half and equalized. After Newcastle United have gone up 2-0, Chelsea leveled up 2-2. The game ended draw. Returning to Stamford Bridge against Aston Villa, Chelsea lost that game. After having a beautiful first half, total control of the game, Chelsea went on to lose that game to Aston Villa by 2-1. And the final game at Stamford Bridge under Enzo Maresca was the game against Bournemouth. Bournemouth, early in the game, took the lead against Chelsea. Chelsea leveled up from the spot through Cole Palmer. And a beautiful comeback by Enzo Fernandez in the penalty area to give Chelsea a 2-1 lead. And Bournemouth fought back to actually level up 2-2. After that game, there have been lots of tension. There have been lots of tension brewing in Chelsea Football Club. Everywhere has been tense. And that simply goes to show, for whatever we are seeing today that is happening in Chelsea Football Club has just been something that has been going on. Because like the saying goes, there is no smoke without fire. I mean, there have been smoke all over Chelsea in the last 12, 24, and 48 hours that led to the sacking of Enzo Maresca. The big question remains, what does Todd Boehly and co actually want in a manager? Because if we take a look at the managers under the reign of the Blueco ownership, from Thomas Tuchel to Graham Potter, from Graham Potter to Frank Lampard, who was a caretaker manager, from Frank Lampard to Mauricio Pochettino, from Mauricio Pochettino to Enzo Maresca, and from Enzo Maresca now to Chelsea under 21 manager, talking about Callum McFarlane, who has been given the chance as an interim basis to see the team through the game against Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium. What does Todd Boehly and co actually want in a manager? Because this will continue. In as much as Todd Boehly and co still want to stick to this their project that is actually bringing down Chelsea, going out to the market to sign 15, 16-year-old players. I mean, Chelsea will continue to go through this deteriorating process in our football. Chelsea football is deteriorating. While we think we are moving forward, little did we know that we are going backward. And that is what the Blueco ownership have actually turned Chelsea into. We thought we are going forward, but no, we are moving backward. And that have actually gone to show with the sacking of Enzo Maresca. Now, moving forward, the big question, who is Chelsea bringing in as the next manager? Because whoever Chelsea choose to bring in as the next manager will still suffer the same fate all these managers have actually suffered under the Blueco ownership. And I think the best solution for Chelsea is for the Blueco ownership to leave the club. They are causing us more pains than good. They are into business than what we expect to see. They are more concerned of the business side than what we expect to see. Chelsea is struggling under the Blueco ownership. Nothing is actually working. Nothing is actually working. Todd Boehly and co is actually punishing us, the fan. It's actually punishing our football. Because if we continue this way, there's not going to be any stability in this club. There's not going to be any stability moving forward. There's not going to be any chance for our football to actually grow. If this is how we'll continue to change manager from one manager to another. Not when Manchester United have had the worst of Ruben Amorim. But yet, a manager that finished fourth the previous season in the Premier League have been sacked, while a manager of Manchester United that finished 15th still have his job intact. What is the Blueco ownership looking for a manager at this point in time? What are they looking for? Whoever is coming in as Chelsea manager, because of course we know they have their plan. And their plan is for them to bring the RC Strasbourg manager, talking about Liam Rezonio. That is the plan of the Blueco owner, to bring in the Strasbourg manager to be the head coach of Chelsea Football Club. No disrespect to Liam Rezonio. The Chelsea job is definitely going to be too hot for him. The Premier League is not French League One, and as such, Chelsea Football Club is not Strasbourg. But here will be my suggestion to the Chelsea owner. Open up the managerial role. Let it be open for every managers that are interested and will want to take over the job as Chelsea manager. And once that is done, let them go through the process. Whoever merits it gets the job. But in my opinion, I have just one manager which I will actually recommend for Chelsea to actually go for. He's currently doing well in the Serie A with little resources available to him. Good football they are actually playing in the Italian Serie A. I'm talking about Como, VSX Fabregas, talking about Chelsea former midfielder who have won lots of trophies. With Chelsea Football Club. Is currently leading Como to a very fine season. Cesc Fabregas is one manager that Chelsea Football Club should definitely actually turn to. But I will say this, do not bring in Cesc Fabregas if you will not be ready to give him all the support that he will need. Because that is what Enzo Maresca actually cried out during his post-match conference that have actually led to his sacking today. Enzo Maresca said he lacked the support of the club. When he made that statement in his post-match conference, everybody was surprised just the way when he made that statement. And he went on to clarify that he wasn't referring to the fans. Because the fans are always there, giving the club every support on and off the pitch whenever they are playing. And he went on to clarify that he loves the fan and always is very, very happy with the fans. So Enzo Maresca have actually made that outburst that he lacks the support of Chelsea ownership. And as such, this should be one thing that any manager who is actually coming in as Chelsea boss should actually have it as a written agreement. That one, the board should give him every support he needed. And secondly, they should grant him that autonomy he needed to be in charge as the head coach of the first team. Chelsea should try this and see if such manager will not actually succeed in Chelsea Football Club. That was what we experienced during the days of Roman Abramovich. Roman Abramovich never interfered with anything that is going on with the first team. What Roman Abramovich was interested about was to see results and trophies being won. Anything short of this, if the result is not forthcoming, the manager will be shown the exit. But then, what are we getting under Todd Boehly and co? We are not getting results. We are not getting trophies. The only manager who have actually come in to just give some kind of support to the fans was Enzo Maresca, that came in and lifted the Conference League trophy. That was the first trophy the Blueco ownership actually won. And as such, I don't count that because that was not our level. But it was as a result of where we finished the season, that particular season, because we finished sixth under Mauricio Pochettino. We only qualified to play in the Europa League, but Manchester United went on to lift the FA Cup, and as such, Chelsea were shifted to the Conference League, while Manchester United played in the Europa that season. That was how we found ourselves in the Conference League. Seeing a giant in the midst of kids, and as such, you have to act as one. And that was how Chelsea took advantage to lift the Conference League last season. So, going forward, there's a lot happening with our football. A lot is definitely happening. Enzo Maresca have been shown the exit. And if Enzo Maresca sack have nothing to do with the sporting directors in the club, then I'm afraid what we have as sporting directors are just figureheads, while Todd Boehly and co are still the one running the club, both as sporting directors and as club owners, which is very bad for our football. If Enzo Maresca is shown the exit, then I expect Chelsea owner to also sack the sporting directors, talking about Paul Winstanley and Lawrence Stewart. They ought to leave the club as well. But if we still have those sporting directors and they have their job intact, then they are just figurehead there, not knowing what they are doing. And like I said, Todd Boehly and co are still the one doing the job of a sporting director and also the role of club owners. What do you make of the latest development that is going on at Chelsea? And moving forward, who do you think Chelsea should actually go for as the next manager? Drop your thoughts down below. Going forward, I'm looking forward to our games on Sunday against Manchester City. Personally, I will just be real here. Let's not expect anything from that particular game, because Manchester City is definitely going to roast Chelsea after the goalless draw they played against Sunderland. So going forward, we shouldn't expect much, because currently the club is in a total disarray. And as such, it will be very difficult to get things back together within the space of 2 days and going onto the field to actually play. Because there are some of these players that are so attached to Enzo Maresca. That is the reality. So what do you make of Chelsea happening? The sacking of Enzo Maresca, the coming in of RC Strasbourg manager talking about Resilio as Enzo Maresca's replacement. But who do you think Chelsea should actually go for? Drop your thoughts down below. Thank you very much for watching and catch you in my next video.